Hey, White Oak family, it's Pastor John here, and I just want to welcome you in to the 6th installment of Monday Morning Theology. If you're part of the White Oak family or you're just kind of looking in on this video, welcome. This is where we take whatever God did on Sunday and we kind of boil it down and trying to apply it to our normal everyday week. As leadership here, we want to equip you for the work of ministry, and so we just ask all the people that are walking with us to watch this video at least one time throughout your week and kind of think through it and pray through it. You can watch it on your lunch break at work or with your family in the evening or wherever you find yourself. But we want to equip you with this video. And so before I begin, I just want to say, man, Sunday was amazing. It was a great time together. Thank you for the people that came out that really showed your devotion just by gathering and being present with us. Man, there were so many new faces. There was a great spirit of unity. It was a really rich time of just music and being together in communion. Man, I just want us to soak this in, like this season of the church. It's just been so amazing. And so thank you for coming out and just being with us and helping kind of create that sense of unity. It's always better when we're together than when we're not together. So just thank you for that. But what we talked about was one of the markers of someone who's really devoted to Jesus, who's like really following him, like being a disciple, is that they're devoted to the local church. And so we began in Matthew 16, verses 13 through 20. We looked at the first place in all of the Bible where the word church is mentioned and where Jesus mentions the church. And so what we basically came to find is that Jesus Christ himself built the church, okay? I didn't build the church. It wasn't a pastor or an evangelist or a missionary. Like Jesus Christ himself built the church. And what we talked about was like literally, if you think about it logically, you could trace your entire spiritual lineage all the way back to Matthew 16 when Jesus is saying he's going to build the church. Because like, think about who told you the gospel. Maybe it was a church or a person or whatever. And then who told them? And then who told them? And then who told that person that told that? Like, you could trace your spiritual belief all the way back to Matthew 16. So I hope when you read that text, like you see yourself there. Like you are the church. Like you are a part of that. And so it's just kind of cool to see that. But then we said, okay, so Jesus built the church. It was his idea. It's his plan for us. But what is it, right? And a working definition we had in looking at scripture is that the local church is a gospel-transformed people, because the church is a people, who walk together for the glory of God. Like we've been transformed by the gospel. We're not like everybody else. The word church in the original language means the called out ones. And so we live different. We're supposed to be a holy people who look like Jesus in all things. The world often wants us to do things a certain way or believe certain things, and yet we just believe Jesus and the gospel above everything else. We believe life is good and we follow his plan for our life. And so we are a people that aren't just a community, but we're a community that's transformed by the gospel. And then we walk together because we believe that we're called to do this as a family. There's no singleness season in the Christian life. Like as soon as we're called out of the world through gospel faith, we're called into the family of God. And we do all of this for God's glory and for God's renown. But we close the sermon with really 3 practical tips this week and in the coming months for how we can be devoted to the church, because we say, be devoted to the church. And we want to give you ways that you can do that. The number one thing of the 3 things was, number 1 was practice presence. Okay, say that with me. Practice presence. The best way that you can be devoted to anything is just to show up, right? Like, so on Sunday morning when we gather, we challenge everyone that walks with us to gather with us every single Sunday, okay? I mean, we work jobs, we work 40 and 50 and 60 hours a week. When we have to be there at 8 in the morning, we always make sure we're there on time. And the church, we gather for our Sunday service, 1 hour or an hour and a half every week, right? It's not the biggest commitment, right? And the best way you can be devoted to your church wherever you attend is to show up regularly. Parents, one of the best things you can do for your kids is to teach them the value of gathering with the church, right? One of the best things you can do, spouse, for your marriage is to gather with the church. Because when you get Jesus right, when you get the kingdom right, everything else Jesus says comes with that. And so we want to practice presence, because even in the times when we don't feel like showing up, it encourages everybody else that we're there, right? Sometimes we show up for all the other people, not just because I'm going to get something out of it or I'm going to be blessed. Like our presence says, I am with this church. I am here. I value this. I value this body. So I show up and I gather when the church gathers for service. The second thing we said is this: aim to be a contributor. So everywhere you go, in every friendship, every family relationship, everything that you do, aim to be someone who gives more than they receive, okay? So like we say the word aim because we know sometimes life is tough and sometimes we can't be more giving financially than we receive, and we can't give more ministry because we just need a lot of ministry. Like, that's okay. but we should always be aiming to be a giver, to be a contributor. We want to give more money to the church than we take from the church, right? Every single person. We want to give more ministry than we receive, right? Can you imagine a place where everyone was giving tenfold of what they were receiving? Can you imagine how much excess and abundance we would have? Can you imagine all the things that we could do if everyone was like, man, I want to give so much more than I'm taking from the church, right? That's how you create a healthy church. And so everywhere you go, always be aiming to be a contributor. And the third thing, and maybe the most important thing, is to be holy throughout your week. Whenever you gather with the church, as you leave and as you reemerge into the world, just be a good example. Like shine your light so that people can see it. Because for better or for worse, the church in a lot of ways, we don't have the greatest MO in the culture. I don't want to go into why that is. Who knows? There's a lot of stuff that happened, but all that I know is that we just need people to leave the church and just to be a good example, to give Christ a good name, to apply the love and the humility and the compassion of Christ at our work, to be fair in our dealings, to love our families, to be positive influences in our culture for the gospel. Like, be holy throughout your week. Like, it's okay to be different, right? Because we're supposed to be a set apart people. And so one of the best ways that you can be devoted to the church is to apply the teaching of the church in your normal everyday week so that everybody around you can see that. I love you guys. So just to recap, there's practice presence, right? Like, gather with the church, make it a priority in your life. Number 2, aim to be a contributor, give more than you receive. And then number 3, we want to encourage you to be holy throughout your week. I hope you guys feel the freedom to contact me or let me know if you need anything. Share this video if it's maybe something you think other people could benefit from. But as always, we will see you next Sunday as we continue our devoted series here at White Oak. I love you all.